Live a soft, feminine life while still focusing on and excelling in your career? Today, we're digging in. We're talking all about balancing ambition and success with your femininity. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Secret Formula of Femininity for women who want to live a more feminine, fun, and fabulous life. I'm Dr. Nicole Monteiro, your host on this weekly journey to unlocking your inner radiance, nurturing fulfilling relationships, and becoming the best version of yourself. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Dr. Nicole, your guide on this journey to tapping into your feminine essence. And today we're talking all about balancing career, ambition, professional success with your femininity. And yes, ladies, it can be done. We're in an age where women want to focus on something important to them outside of their personal life, whether that's a profession, whether that's academic or a business. But a lot of women wonder how they can balance it all. And they want to still live a soft life and be tapped into their femininity while pursuing their dreams. And let me tell you, it is definitely possible. So let me share a little story with you. Through observation, I talk a lot about things that we may observe around us, whether they are messages that are given to us explicitly or things that we just took in because this is what women around us were saying or how they were behaving. And so I was always curious, driven, wanting to just use my intellect and be stimulated and pursue things that were interesting to me and that would be a benefit to me. But I often got the message that in order to do that, I had to be more in my masculine. And people didn't say it like that, but the idea was that in order to succeed, you had to be tough, you had to be aggressive, not assertive, and unyielding. In a way, you basically had to be a bitch to climb the corporate ladder. And those qualities didn't feel natural to me. And I will go on a limb and say that for a lot of women who are exhibiting those qualities to an extreme, that's not truly what they want to do. They're doing it because they feel they have to. And so it took me some time to finally realize that those natural feminine qualities and strengths were actually going to be good for me in terms of my professional advancement. And I didn't have to choose between my femininity and my ambition. You see, oftentimes ambition, the way it's talked about in our society, is as if that is a masculine trait and that there's only one way to be ambitious. But I realized pretty early on after I got into grad school that I could be successful and feminine and that I could actually have balance. I craved balance. The feminine craves balance and moderation and not being so extreme, right? And I realized that I could actually have that. And that's been something that I've been honing and helping other women to achieve for years now. And so I want to share with you how you can actually do the same, because I know most of the women that listen to me are ambitious women, are achieving women, and their relationships are important, which is why I talk so much about how to enhance your relationship. But also there's a part of them that is important for their own sense of self to work on things and focus on things that are just important to them. As I said, we tend to associate success and even climbing up the corporate ladder, if that's what you want to do, as a traditionally masculine pursuit. And qualities like extreme assertiveness, bordering on aggression, extreme decisiveness, or as I said, unyieldingness or competitiveness over collaboration, that these are the qualities that would lead to success. And what has happened is that a lot of women have felt like they had to suppress their natural feminine qualities and traits. Things that were natural to them were made to feel that those things were weaknesses. And so they didn't know that they could really hone their empathy and their intuition and their creativity and their emotional intelligence or ability to really tune in to another, that those things would actually be helpful in the workplace. And what we're finding is in a lot of management training and leadership training, they're actually calling on those more traditional feminine traits that they want all leaders to exhibit them. And so it's ironic that now the workplace is turning around to really value those feminine qualities and characteristics more. And so I want you to keep in mind, like I say almost every week, femininity does not mean passivity. It doesn't mean that you just roll over and, you are a doormat. It is the exact opposite. It's being able to embrace those qualities as strengths, the creativity, the perceptiveness, the emotional intelligence, the ability to collaborate working together will make your team more competitive. See, that's our strength as women. We don't just go out and go at it alone. Some of us do, right? But we have that nurturance and that ability to come together that makes the unit and the collective much, much stronger. That's why women are key to families being successful, because they know how to make a team, and a family is a team, right? How to make a team function. And so in order to be an effective leader these days, we recognize things like being able to bring a team together, see multiple sides of an issue or a perspective, being able to negotiate deals. Like high stakes negotiation requires things like patience, like the ability to be reserved and play your cards right. And women, when we are in our feminine, we absolutely know how to do those things. Also, when you want to manage your own business, you are literally managing people. No matter what the business is, no matter the industry, when you are an entrepreneur or managing a business, you have to understand how to manage people, how to manage your emotions, and how to see the long game. And those are qualities that we might sometimes call soft skills. But when I hear the term soft skills, I actually see that as a highly refined set of skills that not everybody has. And the prime sort of candidate of a person that has those skills is a woman who is tuned in to her femininity. Now, while there is a lot more respect for these feminine qualities and they're trying to get people to have these soft skills, a lot of women still face the challenge of feeling like they're not good enough, that they have to wear the pants in order to be respected. And that is actually not the truth, because the more you are comfortable with yourself, in tune with yourself, you are going to attract respect. And so the challenge for a lot of women is not necessarily, they have to realize that the challenge isn't going to be to convince other people to respect them and by acting a way that's not natural or authentic to them, but to actually begin to respect those qualities in themselves and to understand that their feminine qualities are actually strengths. So while there are challenges to women balancing their ambition and their femininity, it's really an inner challenge. It's a challenge of knowing that you are enough, you are good enough, you are more than qualified, and that by being the best version of you, you are actually going to get that respect that you are, that you're craving. The other thing that women have to really work on is balancing personal and professional, the personal and professional. And I hear so many people say, there's no such thing as balance, and that's a crock, there's no work-life balance. If you believe that, then let me tell you, you are always going to be off balance. And there's nothing wrong with balance. Balance is actually an admirable state of being. It is a healthy state of being. So we should all be pursuing balance. There's no reason that a woman should be working, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. They're worn out. They're burnt out. They don't have any personal interests. They don't have a personal life or a family life. That is not healthy. So when you hear people say that there's no such thing as balance, then that's a projection. They're projecting that they don't know yet how to achieve balance. So yes, when you're ambitious in your career or academically, that is a skill. That is something you're going to have to look at. How can I balance? Sometimes it's going to feel like a juggling act, but that's usually temporarily your career and your professional life. And so part of it is defining success for yourself. The best form of self-care is self-definition, defining success for yourself, defining what you value, what is important to you. And so if you know that fulfillment and being in a place of a state of balance and a place of being stimulated, but also having inner peace, if that is success for you, then you need to pursue that. Don't just pursue the titles and the labels and what feels like status only to be burnt out and want to just throw the whole thing away. And I have seen that a lot where women think that they only want the title or what they view as a status symbol, only to find that it feels empty to them, it feels draining to them, and it feels like they are losing who they are in that. And so the challenge is really having the courage to self-define, having the courage to determine what is actually important to you and going down that path and pursuing that. Many women struggle with how to balance their personal life with their professional life or their business life. And once you can hone that skill, once you can really get that right, then the sky is the limit, because we all require both, right? We require being stimulated and feeling like there's so much fulfillment in the journey, right? We all, to some extent, need some of that. Even if you are a stay-at-home wife or mom, there is the journey of homemaking, of making the home beautiful, of managing the home. There's always the stimulation that we get from putting our focus on something and doing it well. So for women who work outside the home and who are really pursuing that ambition, you cannot forget to focus on the skill of balance. People in business or in their professional life who are burnt out, it shows and it just spreads like wildfire. It's like a virus. Everybody can tell that you're not in a good place, and it actually compromises your work or your business. Now, learning to navigate or deal with gender bias in society is important. I'm seeing it now with people questioning, whether a woman can be a leader in the highest office of the land as president. And that's crazy, right? Look around the world, and some of the countries that you think are, quote, not as advanced, they have, most of them had female leaders. And those women leaders have led to so much progress and advancement in areas they can know what mothers need. They understand what wives need and families and children. So don't ever kind of buy into the idea that a woman cannot be a leader. What we need to do is really respect the unique leadership qualities of women and the collaboration, the things I'll keep saying over and over, the empathy, the intuition, the collaboration, the patience, the ability to be patient and see the long game, the communication and negotiation skills. And so, of course, not every woman has these things. These are things that have to be worked on. But these are qualities that if you are in your feminine, in the professional space, in the workspace, you need to value these qualities. Because believe me, right now, there's some business school or some management school graduate program that is teaching these qualities. So never devalue what is truly your nature and what comes natural to you. All right, so let's look at some of the research, especially I want to talk about self-care, because I am really big on this idea that you have to pursue balance. And it's going to look different at different phases of your life. Just recently in my coaching community, the Boundaries to Bliss Society, when we meet bi-weekly, I usually teach on a specific topic that is relevant to what the women are going through. And I was talking about understanding your season as a woman, where you are in your phase of life and really tailoring, like if you want to live a softer life, you have to understand the season that you're in. So tailoring your self-care and the things that you're doing to pour into yourself based on where you are, your age. When you're a younger woman, you're in a phase of learning and putting yourself out there and being out there. As you mature and you get wiser, you might have more of an inward focus. You might understand the value of really focusing on your health and making sure that you are thriving for the long haul, like for years to come. And so you might be more introspective about that. So really looking at the phase that you're in. And the same goes for balance and self-care. So let us ladies never take self-care for granted as just being a one size fits all. You're just doing the nails and the facials and the massages, which by the way, I love those, but it's so much deeper than that. And it's really about understanding where you are in life. So let's talk about some of the research. There was a study in the Harvard Business Review that found that women who prioritize self-care were more likely to experience long-term career success. And that success included longevity, not just crashing and burning, but feeling fulfillment, satisfied, and even financial success. So self-care, investing in self-care is not just, oh, this is so cutesy and feels good. This actually leads to professional and financial success. Regular self-care practices that included a whole range of things such as exercise, mindfulness, things to reduce stress, healthy eating, and being preventative about making sure you catch burnout before it takes hold. That all of these are the things that help women to maintain a high level of performance, specifically in their careers. So self-care and career performance go hand in hand. There was another study in the American Psychological Association journal that said that women who prioritize, that means they are intentional about prioritizing work-life balance, report higher levels of job satisfaction. So the more that they pour into themselves and understand the importance of self-care, they're intentional, they're mindful about it, they actually feel more fulfilled. Because usually it goes back to once you do that, you're able to be more comfortable self-defining. And women who self-define have more fulfillment. So the study also highlights the importance of setting boundaries, having boundaries between work and personal. And I know a lot of women, especially women that have families, we love the flexibility of working from home or having online businesses. But it's so important to have a boundary when doing that so that you're not working 24 hours, right? One of the benefits of the strict 9 to 5 is that once it's 5 o'clock, for a lot of people, they shut down, right? And this was, before everybody was overly accessible by email and things like that. There was more of a boundary. And so for work-life balance, you have to really enforce boundaries, make time for things that are exciting, that promote your joy and happiness, not just work focused. So are you reading fiction? Are you watching fun things, not just watching stuff for work or reading things for school, right? So all of those things help to contribute to satisfaction in your career, but also fulfillment in your personal life. Now, you may be surprised to find that there is actually a scientific link between prioritizing self-care and having higher or better leadership qualities. A report by Forbes showed that self-care is not just something that's beneficial for you as an individual, but also for your effectiveness as a leader. Women who prioritize their physical and mental health are better equipped to lead teams and make decisions and be able to do all of the collaboration and all of those, quote, soft skills that lead to being an effective leader. If you think about it, all of this says that incorporating self-care into your actual life, like really making it something that you embody and that you do all the time, this enhances not just your personal or individual well-being, but your professional performance and your leadership abilities. So Harvard says it, the American Psychological Association says it, Forbes is telling us, many places are telling us. So hopefully you will understand that self-care is not just a side thing, a side chick. Self-care should not be the side piece. Self-care needs to be the main piece in order to excel and really balance out your femininity with your ambition and your professional success. So how can you actually do that? What are some tips for being able to maintain that femininity? This is what I'm all about, ladies. It's like really being able to, no matter what, operate from a space where you embody your soft, feminine traits and nature. Because a lot of women are in a place of hardness, not because they want to be, but because they are forced to be. How many videos have we seen of women talking and saying, I'm in my masculine because I'm forced to be? So I don't want us to also be part of imposing that reality on ourselves that says we're just going to be masculine because that's how it has to be. It absolutely does not have to be like that. So let's look at some tips on how to make sure you balance out your femininity with whatever else you have going on with ambitions in your career and your professional life. One is learn to understand or really have the mindset that your femininity is a strength. So learn to bring those feminine qualities and strengths into your leadership style. All of those qualities that you will hear me say over and over, your empathy, your intuition, your ability to be creative or to create that creative energy, your emotional intelligence, your collaborative abilities. These are all valuable traits that will actually help you to be respected in your field and as a leader. And as far as being a steady, stable decision maker, someone whose opinion and thoughts about things are respected, that's what you really want. That's like the long-term success that you're looking for. So use your intuition or your gut to guide you in difficult career situations. Lead with empathy when managing your team. Try to listen to all sides and all perspectives and then come to a decision versus just jumping in and jumping on the bandwagon under the guise of, quote, being decisive. The second thing is prioritize self-care. I think I gave you all the evidence for why that is vital. Make self-care non-negotiable. I have a thing that I call like, you have to develop your non-negotiables. One of my coaching clients was telling me that she has been walking every day, rain or shine, snow, whatever it is, unless it's like a weather alert, a tornado or something where you have to stay in the house. She is out there. And this has been going on for the last 4 to 6 months. And she has been doing it and she made it a non-negotiable. So that's her form of self-care. So you always want to include some sort of movement, right? You can pick your form of self-care. Self-care could actually be saying no and taking things off of your plate and pausing when it's time to jump into making a decision about something. That could be a form of self-care. But also journaling, spending time, being playful with your loved ones. It really helps you to stay focused and to make sure that you're not getting burnt out. Number 3 is that B word, making sure that you have healthy boundaries. You have to protect your energy, especially if you want to balance, if you have a family. And even if you are a woman, you don't have kids or you're not in a relationship right now, you're not yet married, you still want to have balance. You still want to have a way to protect your energy, because what you don't want is for work or your profession to become your whole life, because you'll look up and ask yourself, where did the time go? Why did I neglect these other aspects of myself? So when you set boundaries, you have to set limits on your work hours. You have to look at, are you delegating? You have to make sure that you're showing up as your best self, but that means you need to get rest. You need to be doing the things that have you operating from a place of being in your zone of genius. So you have to ask yourself, if there are other tasks where I'm not operating in my zone of genius that anybody else can do, that I can delegate out, then I need to do that. I noticed that women, even in professional spaces, they tend to do too much busy work that somebody else can do. It's that superwoman syndrome, and it's not helping. Number one, it doesn't help you necessarily to advance career-wise or business-wise, but also it drains you, right? We have to learn to separate some of the things that we do to manage the home from some of the things that we do to manage in the workplace. So learn to delegate, learn to really be in your zone of genius, learn to have boundaries that protect your energy, knowing when to answer people. I might write the response, but I want to pause before I send it. If I'm up late, I don't send emails late at night. I'll schedule it to go out the next morning because I never want people to feel like I'm just available 24/7 to answer them, because that just isn't going to be healthy. The other thing is create a supportive network. As women, we thrive on community. All of us need community, but we need to surround ourselves with other women. So I love being with other psychologists, coaches, professors, authors, women in the personal development space who are also wives and mothers. We understand each other, right? As my daughter says, like, we see eye to eye because we understand that we value these different parts of ourselves. And so if there's a woman who doesn't understand why I value time with my kids, there's certain periods that I don't work. I don't see people after a certain time because that is the time that I have to dedicate to my daughters. They're getting older. I have to be there for their activities, to just be a presence and to talk to them, want them to be latchkey kids and coming home and nobody's home. So I have had to establish boundaries, but being with other women who also value family and who value that balance has been key. So you want to find other women who are ambitious, but who also value the softer side of life and who value balancing their femininity so that you can have that support. Because there is nothing worse than having something that you value for yourself in your life and a way of being, and you get with a group of people who are totally out of alignment with that. Because the problem is they will often influence you either directly with their words or just with the behaviors and the things that they're doing to veer away from what you value. So you need to create a supportive network. The other thing that we don't do enough as women is to celebrate our successes, whether it's being able to acknowledge that you hit a certain milestone, that you made a certain accomplishment, no matter how small, or that you've put in a sustained, consistent level of effort, no matter what the outcome. The fact is you did what you said you were going to do. You showed up for yourself. You have to acknowledge those wins and that growth. And when you do that, it boosts your confidence. It encourages you to keep going because you see that there's some reward. So celebrating your success is like a way of rewarding yourself. And we all thrive off of rewards. It also helps to reinforce the idea that you can be both ambitious and feminine. You absolutely can, but you have to celebrate yourself. Did you engage in self-care this week? Were you able to set boundaries? Did you help the team to get through a difficult period through your communication and listening skills? You want to be able to celebrate all of these wins, these quote soft skill wins, as well as any other more tangible wins that you've had. So those are some tips for balancing your ambition, your professional success with your femininity and maintaining your softness. So here are a couple of questions from our Q&A. Question 1 is, how do I stay true to my femininity in a male-dominated industry? I actually saw a fire truck and a team of firefighters. There was a fire truck called a few doors down, and I saw one of the women who was one of the firefighters, and her nails were done. When she was pulling out the hose, I saw she had her manicure, she had the nail design, and I was like, I loved it because she was really showing who she was and integrating it into the workplace. Now, I didn't get a chance to talk to her, but I would imagine that one thing is that she saw her femininity as a strength, not a weakness. So you need to continue to respect yourself and embrace the qualities that make you you. So you also need to use those qualities in your workplace. So what I'm saying is we have to stop separating and saying, well, this is the feminine me outside of work, but when I'm at work, I'm a boss chick. No. A true boss chick understands the power of multifaceted communication. You heard me talk about the different notes that you need to use when you're communicating. So there's assertiveness with also knowing when to yield and how to yield. Those are strengths that you want to use. So don't feel like you have to put on this persona of toughness. It's usually the exact opposite that will garner respect for you, even in a male-dominated industry. So lead with authenticity, be confident, and know that your feminine essence is a strength. Question number 2 is, how can I prevent burnout while pursuing my career goals? That's a great question. Burnout is real. It's real. And I hear a lot of people say that society has to change so that we're not burnt out. And there's merit to that. But I believe in self-empowerment. And so I believe if we are constantly waiting for factors outside of us that we really can't control in this moment to change, then we're going to constantly be in a state that we're not getting what we want. And so if you want more balance and less burnout, you have to take ownership and responsibility for that. And the 2 things that are key are prioritizing self-care and setting boundaries. They work together. You have to make time for personally fulfilling activities. You have to make them non-negotiable. Walks, pouring into yourself, nutrition, spending time with friends, having fun, things that you enjoy, you have to make them non-negotiable. You also have to have boundaries with work, but also with other people in your life. Sometimes we are around energy vampires, and that could be at work. There's always a sour grape somewhere, but you have to have the boundaries to not let those energy vampires suck the life out of you. And so when you set boundaries between work and your personal life and with the people who, if you let them, would drain you, you are able to say yes to yourself, pour into yourself, and then you have the energy for what's really important to you. Most of us, in some capacity as women, what we do professionally or even business-wise, it requires a level of tapping into our creative energy. Even if we don't label ourselves creatives, even if we're doing analytical work, there's still a generative, creative aspect or energy to what we do. But in order to access that and to really get the most of that creative energy, we have to have our energy protected. And that's where the boundaries come in. Know how to say no, know who is there to support you and who is there to just talk crap about you and discourage you. Understand the difference between feedback and unnecessary criticism, and set a boundary between people who are really not supporting your dreams and the values and the lifestyle that you have for yourself. So I hope those 2 questions that I answered somehow relate to your situation and are helpful. Thank you so much for joining this episode of the Secret Formula of Femininity. And I hope this discussion about how to balance femininity with your professional success and ambitions has been helpful. you absolutely can balance femininity and success. Women do it all of the time. I want to tell you about an upcoming event that you don't want to miss. It's my retreat, the Boundaries to Bliss live retreat. Is happening November 2nd in Philadelphia. This is a day full of self-care workshops, boundary setting, tapping into your feminine energy, cultivating joy. We're having healthy food, mindfulness and meditation, gentle exercises. You will walk away recharged, refreshed, and renewed, and you will have the skills to take this with you in your life, in your personal life, in your professional life. The link is in the show notes. It is November 2nd. I hope to see you there. You can send me a message if you have questions. If not, make sure you get your early bird tickets to the event. You can send me a message if you have questions. I am so happy you joined me today. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode, leave me a review. It helps so much. Until next time, stay ambitious. Yes, ladies, stay ambitious. Nurture your spirit and let your feminine essence shine. I'm Dr. Nicole.